Need computer training for a group or office? Contact us today to get a free demo of our training at www.teachucomp.com/enterprise-licensing.
A standalone macro is a program that you create in a visual environment that runs a series or set of operations in a specified order. These objects will appear under the Macros category within the navigation pane in your database. For example, a standalone access macro could check the value of a form field and then open a corresponding report based on the value of the field. When you write macros, you will need to know both the actions, what to do for each step within the macro, and the arguments, which are additional settings that specify more exactly what you want each action to do. To make macro creation easier, Access comes with a macro design window. This window has been completely redesigned for Access 2010. To view this window, first click the Create tab in the ribbon. Next, click the Macro button that appears in the Macros and Code group on this tab. This will open the Macro Design window and also display the Design tab of the Macro Tools Contextual tab within the ribbon. Next, you will need to select the action that the macro will perform when it's run in the future. You can select the desired action from the drop-down that appears within the Macro Design window. Now, once you've selected a desired action, you will then need to enter the action's arguments. These action arguments are simply the additional settings that the selected action needs in order to function. You enter these into the appropriate field shown. Now, depending on the type of macro that you're writing, the arguments will vary considerably. Some actions simply require that you define more arguments than others do. Many will have default arguments that you can change if you wish. Some arguments have no default value, but instead allow you to enter in your own expression. Also, some arguments are required for an action to work. For example, if you select the Open Form action, then you must specify the name of the form to open. Now, if you hold your mouse pointer over one of the fields shown in the action arguments, Access displays help about the currently selected argument in a pop-up window. If you click into an argument field and then press F1 on your keyboard, a help window will appear to lend even more assistance in specifying the argument needed for the selected action. So this can be very helpful in programming macro behavior. If you select an action that you do not wish to include in your macro, you can remove the action from the macro by simply clicking the Delete button that looks like a small X in the upper right corner of the selected action. To complete your macro, you simply continue selecting actions to perform from the Add New Action drop-down that appears below your current action, and then once again specify what arguments the selected action needs. Now, once you've finished setting all of your actions and arguments that you need for the macro, you will have completed your macro. It's just that easy. So once you've created a macro, you should save it so that you can run it in the future when needed. You can do this by clicking the Save button in the Quick Access toolbar. Give it a name that will help you remember its function within the database. Now, running a macro is easy. You can right-click on the name of any macro from the list displayed in the navigation pane, and then simply click the Run command in the pop-up menu to run the program. You can also simply double-click on the name of a macro shown in the navigation pane to run it as well. Another way to run macros in Access is to open them in Design View, and then click the Run button that appears in the Tools group on the Design tab of the Macro Tools Contextual tab within the ribbon. Editing a macro is easy as well. Simply right-click on the name of the macro to edit within your navigation pane, and select the Design View command from the pop-up menu that appears to display the design view of the macro. Here you can change the macro actions and arguments as needed, and then save it again in order to make your changes. Now, once it's operating appropriately, you may want to consider adding the macro to a command button's onClick event.
Like what you see? Get a free demo of our training for groups of 5 or more at www.teachucomp.com/enterprise-licensing.